What happens when a prison built for 2,000 ends up holding more than 8,000 inmates? Where even water is a privilege. And freedom? That's not just outside the bars. It's absent, even inside. This is the true story of La Mesa, Mexico's most overcrowded and brutal prison. La Mesa prison is one of the most overcrowded and dangerous prisons in the world. Its full name is El Centro de Reinserción Social de la Mesa, but most people just call it La Mesa. It's located in Tijuana, a city right on the border of Mexico and the United States. When this prison was first built many years ago, it was only supposed to hold around 2,000 inmates. That's already a lot of people, but nothing compared to how many are there now. Over time, as crime in Mexico increased and the legal system slowed down, more and more people got locked up. The problem is, they didn't build more space. Instead, they just kept shoving more people into La Mesa. Today, this prison holds over 8,000 prisoners, even though it was made for just 2,000. That's like putting 4 times more people in a place than it was meant for. Imagine trying to live in a bedroom meant for 2 people, but now there are 8 of you. That's what it's like, but worse, because it's a prison. This overcrowding causes a lot of problems. There's barely any space to move, rest, or even breathe properly. Most prisoners have to share tiny cells with way too many people. There aren't enough beds, toilets, or even clean water for everyone. When you force people to live like this, things start to go wrong very quickly. So, if you thought the number of prisoners at La Mesa was bad, wait till you hear what life is actually like inside. Overcrowding is just the beginning of the nightmare. Most inmates at La Mesa don't even get a bed. Seriously. They sleep on cold, hard concrete floors. And that's if they can even find a spot to lie down. Some people sleep sitting up or leaning against a wall because there's just no room. It's like being packed into a tiny box with hundreds of others, and there's no way out. And forget about basic hygiene. The toilets, always overflowing. The smell? Imagine hundreds of people using the same bathroom that barely works. Showers are a luxury. Some prisoners go days or even weeks without bathing because there's no water. Even drinking water is hard to find. You have to fight or beg for it. In a place this packed, clean water isn't something you can count on. Because of all this, diseases spread super fast. Things like tuberculosis, skin infections, and even COVID-19 have hit the prison hard. There are no proper health checks, no isolation for sick people, and not nearly enough soap or masks. So if one person gets sick, it's only a matter of time before everyone else does too. Now, you'd think that in such horrible conditions, they'd at least have doctors, right? Nope. According to a human rights report from 2023, over 70% of inmates in La Mesa never even see a doctor during their entire time there. That's right. More than half the people inside are sick, injured, or worse, and there's no one to help them. Some prisoners have open wounds that get infected. Others have mental health problems that just get ignored. Many end up dying not because of their crimes, but because the prison is killing them slowly. And here's the part that really makes you angry. A huge number of these prisoners haven't even been proven guilty yet. They're just waiting for their trial. In Mexico, the legal system moves painfully slow. So people get arrested and then sit in La Mesa for months, or even years, waiting for their court date. They're stuck in this nightmare, not knowing when they'll be free, or even if they'll survive. If you thought overcrowding and disease were the worst parts of La Mesa, just wait. There's something even scarier going on inside. The prison is basically run by drug cartels. Yeah, you read that right. Inside La Mesa, it's not the guards or the government who control what happens. It's the gangs and drug cartels. Big names like the Sinaloa Cartel, CJNG, Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, and a few smaller ones too. These guys are powerful, violent, and they make the rules behind bars. From the moment a new prisoner enters, the cartels decide what happens to them. They even control who gets which cell. You'd think that's the prison staff's job, right? Not here. If you want a decent cell or any safety, you have to pay the gang leaders inside the prison. No money? That's bad news. If you can't pay, they throw you into the worst part of the prison. Filthy, overcrowded, and full of violence. Or even worse, they might force you to join their gang. They'll make you do their dirty work, carry weapons, fight other inmates, or smuggle drugs. And saying no isn't really an option unless you want to get hurt or killed. And speaking of violence, it's non-stop inside La Mesa. There are fights almost every day, stabbings, beatings, and sometimes full-on riots. Inmates carry homemade weapons, like sharpened toothbrushes or metal rods. People get attacked just for crossing the wrong guy, or refusing to follow cartel orders. Sometimes the fights are over money, other times, just over food. What are the guards doing during all this? Usually, nothing. Some guards are too scared to step in. Others are paid off by the cartels to look the other way. There are stories of guards even working with the gangs, helping them sneak in weapons or drugs. So even though it's a prison, there's basically no real law inside. It's just chaos. And here's the wildest part. For many prisoners, the cartels are the only way to survive. You either join one or stay in constant danger. There's no in-between. Some people even say they feel safer being part of a gang inside, just because at least someone's got their back. One of the scariest and most shocking events in La Mesa's history happened in September 2008, and it was so bad, it made international news. It all started when rumors spread that the prison guards had beaten an inmate to death. No one knows for sure if it was true, but inside a prison like La Mesa, people don't wait for proof. Tensions were already high, and this news lit the match. What followed was pure chaos. A massive riot broke out that lasted 3 days. 3 whole days of fire, fighting, and total destruction. Inmates were angry, scared, and out of control. They broke down walls, started fires, and attacked each other, and even the guards. The whole prison looked like a war zone. Parts of La Mesa literally went up in flames. Smoke filled the air. People were running everywhere, trying to escape or fight back. Some were trapped in burning cells. Others were caught in fights with weapons made out of anything they could find. Metal rods, broken pipes, sticks. By the time it was all over, more than 25 inmates were dead. Many others were badly injured. Some had stab wounds, others had burns, and a lot were beaten so badly they had to be carried out. The guards couldn't handle it. They were outnumbered and overwhelmed. So the Mexican army had to step in. It took soldiers and police in riot gear to finally get control of the prison again. But even then, the damage was already done. That riot showed the world something many had ignored. La Mesa wasn't just broken. It was dangerous. It wasn't just a place to lock people up. It was a powder keg ready to explode. And in 2008, it did. People started asking questions. Why are there so many inmates? Why is the prison so understaffed? How can a riot go on for 3 days before someone steps in? Sadly, not much changed after that. The riot was treated like a one-time event, even though it was clear that the prison was totally out of control. The truth is, La Mesa wasn't just a place for punishment. It had turned into a place full of fear, anger, and violence. Now you might be wondering, how is this even allowed to happen? Why hasn't someone fixed La Mesa by now? Well, the truth is, the whole prison system in Mexico is broken, and La Mesa is just one example of how bad things can get. One of the biggest problems is how slow the courts are. In Mexico, it can take months or even years for someone to go to trial. That means a lot of the people locked up in La Mesa haven't even been found guilty yet. They're just waiting. Can you imagine being stuck in one of the world's worst prisons without even knowing if you're going to be officially charged? That's what's happening to over 40% of the inmates. Then there's the issue of corruption. Many of the prison guards are either afraid to do their jobs or they've been bribed by gangs and cartels. That's why the gangs basically run the place. Even if someone wanted to change things, it's nearly impossible when money and fear are in charge instead of rules and justice. And don't expect the prison to help inmates with basic needs either. The system is severely underfunded, meaning the prison doesn't even provide enough food or medicine. Most prisoners survive only because their families bring them supplies. Some families travel long distances every week just to bring their loved ones water, food, soap, or medicine. In some cases, they even have to pay for protection, so their relative doesn't get hurt inside. International human rights groups and organizations have spoken up. They've written reports, given warnings, and asked the Mexican government to fix things. But guess what? Very little has changed. There's a lot of talking, but not much action. So far, we've talked a lot about the prison system, the overcrowding, the gangs, and the violence. But behind all of that, there are real people. And honestly, this is the part that hits the hardest. Take Arturo, for example. He was just 19 years old when he stole a car. He got caught and was sentenced to 6 years in La Mesa. Now, stealing a car is a crime, sure. But Arturo had no idea that going to prison meant he'd be fighting for his life every single day. He said, "I was 19. I stole a car. I got 6 years. But I didn't know I was also signing up to fight for my life every single day." That's heartbreaking. He wasn't a murderer. He didn't hurt anyone. But the system threw him into one of the most violent prisons in the world, where survival became more important than learning a lesson or becoming a better person. Then there's the story of a woman who visits her brother every single week. She said, "We bring him water and food every week. If we don't, he'll starve." Think about that. Her brother is locked up, and the prison doesn't even give him enough to eat or drink. It's the family's job to keep him alive. And if they don't show up, he suffers, maybe even dies. And there are hundreds of stories just like these. Some people are in there because they made mistakes. Others were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Some haven't even been found guilty yet. They're still waiting for their trial. But all of them are living in the same horrible conditions, facing violence, hunger, and fear every day. If you think this kind of system needs to change, hit the like button and share this video so more people know the truth. And if you want more videos about real stories the world tries to ignore, subscribe and turn on the bell icon.